Why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
In a few moments, the news.
Why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank?
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here's the news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. 76th budget of the independent Sri Lanka has been presented to the Parliament. The minister presenting the budget says that not only Sri Lanka, the entire world is facing a hard time at present. Retirement age of public servants to be increased to 65 years. Monthly fuel allowance of the state employees and ministers will be reduced. Tax imposed on a stick of cigarette increased by 5 rupees. Pension eligibility period for MPs to be extended. 30 billion rupees allocated to address teachers' salary anomalies. Construction of new state institutions to be suspended for 2 years. A new salary scheme will be introduced from 2022 for the state sector. Annual warrant for state expenditure to be made quarterly warrant. Additional funds allocated in budget for families of missing. Foreign news. Austrian heading towards COVID lockdown for unvaccinated. Local news in detail. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa has presented the budget speech for the fiscal year 2022 in the Parliament today. This is the 76th budget of the independent Sri Lanka. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was also present at the House this morning. This year's budget is being presented at a very crucial situation. Making the budget speech, Finance Minister Rajapaksa said that not only Sri Lanka, the entire world is facing a hard time. The wealthy are being wealthier and poorer are being poorer. Due to the COVID pandemic, the government has lost more than 500 billion rupees at present. But he said the government is capable to handle the economy. The government has stepped up friendly and multilateral cooperation at present. The minister said that not only the economic challenges, the government had to face many more other challenges as well. The finance minister has proposed several proposals to cut the costs of the loss-making state-run institutions, and plans have been made to increase the income. The budget proposed to reduce the fuel allowance of the government servants and ministers by 5 litres per month. Telephone charges will be reduced by 20%. The eligibility period for entertain a person for a parliamentarian has been increased from 5 years to 10 years. This will be effective for the president as well. Actions will be taken to reduce the salary anomalies of the government servants. Minister Basil Rajapaksa has proposed in the budget that the retirement age of the government servants has been increased up to 65 years. He also proposed to introduce a pension scheme for the senior citizens who do not entitle for a pension at present. The finance minister proposed 1,000 million rupees to provide facilities for the senior citizens and people with special needs. Delivering the budget speech, the minister said such funds will be utilized to establish the necessary facilities at village level, facilitating the senior citizens a healthy and happy lifestyle, while also improving the facilities required for those with special needs. He suggested suspension of construction of new office buildings for the state institutions for 2 years, except for the establishments that are under construction at the moment. Assets of many of these enterprises are underutilized, he said, urging his fellow ministers, their secretaries and heads of departments to provide leadership to utilize these assets to the maximum. He further proposed to include amendments to the appropriation bill preventing requests for supplementary estimates for 2022 by all ministers. The minister has also suggested the establishment of a telecommunication network covering the entire country without delay. He said all schools across the island will be provided with broadband internet connectivity using fiber optic technology. Accordingly, the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission will be given necessary financial and technological support for this purpose. He pointed out that the shortcomings in the telecommunications connectivity and internet access were underscored by the COVID-19 pandemic. The finance minister also proposed to add 5G to the country's information and technology fields, as well as a partial, transparent, open bidding process for TRC to select suitable service providers. The minister also tabled a proposal to issue radio and TV broadcasting and telecasting license on an auction basis. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank?
Continuing with more local news, the tax imposed on a stick of cigarette will be increased by 5 rupees. Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa said the excise levy will also be revised with effect from today. Meanwhile, one-time tax will be imposed on 62 individuals and companies with an annual turnover of more than 2,000 million rupees. The government has proposed to allocate 30 billion rupees to address the salary anomalies issues faced by the teachers and principals. Teacher principal trade unions were hopeful of receiving a solution to their grievances through the 2022 budget. Meanwhile, a new salary scheme will be introduced from 2022 for the state sector. The minister said due increments will accordingly be ensured through this scheme. The finance minister has also proposed to allocate 35 billion rupees for the development and organic fertilizer-related activities. A regulatory authority will be set up to control and handle the grievances of the three-wheeler-related services. The government has also proposed to provide 1 billion rupees for the development of liquid milk production. The government has allocated additional funds in the 2022 budget for families of the missing. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that over the years funds had been allocated in the budget to assist the families of the missing. He said that an additional 300 million rupees has been allocated in the 2022 budget to assist the families of the missing. Veteran singer, actor and the commercial director Lakshman Wijasekara has passed away. He was 73 years old at his demise. He was long ill and having treatments at the hospital for a while. His body will be lying at his house at the Kalapuram, Mount Lavinia tomorrow, and final rites will be held on Sunday at Mount Lavinia Cemetery on Sunday. That ends local news.
Why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has called for a pricing mechanism for petroleum. The Minister of Finance currently administers the price control of petroleum in Sri Lanka. The ministry last granted permission for State Trans-Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to raise prices today. The CBSL said the recent rising trend of global prices of crude oil forecasts that this trend is likely to continue during the remainder of the year. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission. Coconut Development Board requests the cocoa peat manufacturers to maintain higher standards in their manufacturing process. The board warns the cocoa peat manufacturers not to mix sand with cocoa peat. It added mixing sand with cocoa peat is a punishable offence under the Penal Code Act No. 46 of 1971. That came to you on Watchlight.
Be aware before you follow any vocational course. When you select a training institute, check and verify its registration and course accreditation by Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission (TVEC) without wasting your valuable time and money. Visit and meet skills development officers or career guidance practitioners. Visit www.tvec.gov.lk for more information. Message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Coming up, World News.
World News headlines first. Myanmar court gives US journalist 11 years jail. Austrians heading towards COVID lockdown for unvaccinated. Rare Antarctic penguin accidentally travels 3,000 kilometers to New Zealand. World News in detail. A Myanmar military court has sentenced US journalist Danny Fenster to 11 years in jail. Fenster was found guilty of breaching immigration law, unlawful association, and encouraging dissent against the military. He was earlier this week slapped with 2 additional charges of sedition and terrorism, which carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. His trial on the new charges will begin on the 16th November. Fenster, 37, who was the managing director of the online site Frontier Myanmar, was detained at Yangon International Airport in May. He is one of the dozens of local journalists that have been detained since the military coup in February. According to Frontier, Fenster had earlier worked for Myanmar, now an independent news site that has been critical of the military since the coup. Austrians are days away from the first lockdown for anyone not fully vaccinated, after record infections were reported across the country. Upper Austria province will impose restrictions from Monday if it gets the go-ahead from the federal government. Salzburg also plans new measures. Chancellor Alexander Schellenberg said a national lockdown for the unvaccinated was probably inevitable. 2/3 of people should not suffer because others were hesitant, he said. Upper Austria, which bordered Germany and the Czech Republic, and has a population of 1.5 million, has the country's highest level of infections and the lowest vaccination rate. A penguin has found itself on the shores of New Zealand, at least 3,000 kilometers away from its natural habitat of Antarctica. The Adelian penguin, who has now been affectionately named Pingu by locals, was found looking lost on the coast. Harry Singh, a local resident who found him, said he thought he was a soft toy at first. It's only the third recorded incident of an Adelaide penguin being found on New Zealand's coast. Mr. Singh and his wife first came across the penguin when they were out walking after a long day of work on the beach at Birdlings Flat, a settlement south of the city of Christchurch. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Myanmar court gives a US journalist 11 years jail. Austrians heading towards COVID lockdown for unvaccinated. Rare Antarctic penguin accidentally travels 3,000 kilometers to New Zealand. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Northern Province Governor Jeevan Tyagaraja made an open request yesterday to investors to make use of investment opportunities in Jaffna. He said that as a governor, he will provide all required facilities to all investors arriving in Jaffna from foreign countries. The governor has also said that while increasing investment opportunities for foreign companies in Jaffna, steps will be taken to introduce an attractive tourism campaign in the entire northern province, centered on Jaffna. When investment opportunities for foreign investors are increased in Jaffna, a large number of new jobs will be generated for the people of the northern province, and the development of tourism too would create many direct and indirect jobs, which will provide a solution for the problem of economic poverty in the province, he said. That ends Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
World Cup finalists Australia and New Zealand have added a 3-match T20 international series in New Zealand next March in the lead up to the 2022 World Cup, which will run concurrently with Australia's tour to Pakistan. Cricket Australia and New Zealand Cricket confirmed on Friday that the two teams will meet in 3 T20 internationals in New Zealand on March 17th, 18th and 20th in Wellington and Napier. Australia will need to send a separate T20 international squad to New Zealand as they did earlier in 2021 when the two teams played a 5-match series, while Australia's test team was scheduled to play in South Africa, although the test tour was subsequently cancelled due to CA's COVID concerns. That ends Sports News.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Japanese conglomerate Toshiba has confirmed plans to split the company into 3 separate businesses. Toshiba said that the 3 companies would be focused on infrastructure, semiconductors and devices. The company has come under increasing pressure from activist investors to make changes since an accounting scandal in 2015. This week, U.S. giant General Electric announced a similar strategy that will see the historic company broken up. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Moving on to economic news, Tesla chief executive Elon Musk has also sold around $5 billion of shares in the electric car maker. It comes days after he asked his 63 million Twitter followers whether he should sell 10% of his stake in Tesla. The company's shares fell by around 16% in the 2 days after the poll came out in favor of him selling shares. Before regaining some ground on Wednesday, Tesla is the world's most valuable car maker, with a stock market valuation of more than $1 trillion. Mr. Musk's trust sold almost 3.6 million shares in Tesla, worth around $4 billion. That ends economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
Showers will occur at times in western, Sabargama, northwestern, central and northern provinces and in Gol and Mathura districts. Spells of showers will occur in north-central province. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva province and in Ampara, Batticaloa districts in the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 mm can be expected to some places in western, Sabargama, central and northwestern provinces and in Jaffna district. Strong winds up to 40 to 50 km per hour can be expected over the island. That ends Weather Report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
A recap of headlines to wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. 76th budget of the independent Sri Lanka has been presented to the Parliament. The minister presenting the budget says that not only Sri Lanka, the entire world is facing a hard time at present. Retirement age of public servants to be increased to 65 years. Monthly fuel allowance of the state employees and ministers will be reduced. Tax imposed on a stick of cigarette increased by 5 rupees. Pension eligibility period for MPs to be extended. 30 billion rupees allocated to address the teachers' salary anomalies. Construction of new state institutions to be suspended for 2 years. A new salary scheme will be introduced from 2022 for the state sector. Annual warrant for state expenditure to be made quarterly warrant. Additional funds allocated in budget for families of missing. Foreign news, Australians heading towards COVID lockdown for unvaccinated. With that, we wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and yours, Saundithao.